On the afternoon of June 15th, 2026, Marcelo Bielsa was in a hotel room at the Macoba Resort outside Cancun, Mexico. He was not delivering a pre-match address to his squad. He was not walking through set pieces or reviewing the opposition's defensive structure on a screen. He was not doing any of the things a manager does in the hours before a World Cup group stage match. He was waiting. Darwin Núñez was waiting. Rodrigo Benker was waiting. Federico Valverde was waiting. Jose Maria Jimenez was waiting. The most technically accomplished Uruguayan squad in years, assembled under one of the most analytically demanding coaches the game has produced, was sitting in a resort hotel in Mexico because their charter flight could not get into the United States. That sentence is the center of today's story. Uruguay scheduled aircraft from Cancun to Miami, a journey of approximately 2 hours, carrying the national squad for a World Cup group stage fixture against Saudi Arabia at Hard Rock Stadium that evening, had not received the authorization required to enter American airspace. The required documentation was missing or unresolved. The plane did not depart. The Uruguayan Football Association issued a statement. It was 4 sentences. The final one read, "Due to problems beyond control of the AUF, the departure from Mexico has been delayed. The squad is resting at the hotel. The new departure time set by FIFA is 4:15 p.m. When The Athletic asked the AUF spokesperson directly who was responsible for the delay, the answer was one word: FIFA, not the airline, not an immigration classification, not a technical problem with the aircraft that arrived from nowhere. FIFA. This is June 15th, 2026, 6 days into the 2026 World Cup. And this is where things stand. Roma Molina is a journalist who has worked for the New York Times, the BBC, and multiple major international outlets. He broke the story on social media the previous evening. New catastrophe in terms of organization. Uruguay's plane has not been authorized to enter the United States due to administrative problems. Certain documents are visibly missing while they play tomorrow in Miami against Saudi Arabia. The word he used in French was catastrophe, not problem. Not complication. Catastrophe. Yahoo Sports, The Mirror, and multiple other outlets independently confirmed the story within hours. Uruguay was stranded in Cancun. Their scheduled Sunday press conference, at which Bielsa and Jimenez were due to speak to accredited media, could not take place. That creates its own particular situation. FIFA's own logistics failed to get Uruguay's aircraft across the border. FIFA's own regulations simultaneously hold teams accountable for missing official media obligations. The organization that produced the failure also holds the authority to penalize the team the failure affected for missing the obligation the failure caused. Both powers rest in the same institution. FIFA's public account of what happened diverged from the AUF's. FIFA described the issue as a technical problem with the aircraft itself rather than a documentation or authorization failure. The AUF said it was FIFA's responsibility. The plane was in Cancun. Both explanations were offered simultaneously. They cannot both be accurate. One account is wrong. The federation, whose squad was stranded the night before their opening match, is the one attributing responsibility to FIFA. Uruguay eventually flew. The squad arrived in Miami. The match tonight goes ahead, but the press conference was missed. The preparation timeline was disrupted, and Bielsa, who has spoken publicly and specifically about his concerns regarding U.S. tournament organization before, he raised direct criticism of travel logistics during Uruguay's Copa America participation in 2024, citing the distances teams were required to cover and the inadequacy of planning across multiple American cities. Will enter Hard Rock Stadium carrying a frustration that he did not carry into any tactical session. The Palestinian Football Association president, Jibril Rajoub, announced publicly on Sunday that he was still awaiting admission to the United States. Rajoub has FIFA accreditation. The Palestinian FA is a full FIFA member. He had official business at the tournament. As of the reporting available, he had not been granted entry, set that alongside what the previous 6 days have produced. Omar Hersey, FIFA selected referee, denied entry at Miami Airport after 11 hours of questioning. Thomas Partey, Ghana's vice-captain, refused entry at the Canadian border. Iran's squad spending weeks based in Tijuana before their fixture at SoFi Stadium. 2 Iraqi players encountering visa processing delays. Brielle Embolo of Switzerland facing a technical visa complication in the tournament's opening week. Wedgie Pierre of Haiti encountering entry difficulties. And now, Uruguay's charter aircraft unable to get documentation to cross into the United States the night before their World Cup opener. That is not a collection of isolated administrative incidents. It is a list, each entry confirmed by multiple sources, each involving participants in the tournament the governing body has described as the most inclusive in football history. The list has not been getting shorter as the days pass. It has been getting longer. What gives the Uruguay case its specific significance within this list is who it happened to. This is not a team with limited administrative support or a federation without resources or experience of major tournament logistics. This is Uruguay, twice World Cup champions, a nation whose entire football identity is built on punching far beyond its geographical and demographic scale, a team with Darwin Núñez and Federico Valverde and Rodrigo Benker operating at the highest level of European club football, a squad managed by one of the sport's most intellectually formidable coaches. Their charter flight, a scheduled, commercially organized aircraft carrying a national World Cup squad, could not receive authorization to fly from a Mexican resort to Miami for a group stage match. The structural context matters here. Uruguay is on the U.S. immigration visa pause list, as is the case with several other South American nations. This classification technically applies to immigration visas rather than tourist visas, meaning that Uruguayan fans and officials should in principle be able to obtain visitor authorization through an enhanced screening process. The Council on Foreign Relations noted this distinction. The aircraft sat on the ground in Cancun regardless. The principle and the operational reality were not the same thing. The State Department, when asked about the Uruguay situation, reiterated its standard position. Each World Cup travel case is being assessed individually through rigorous vetting, and no exceptions will be made to American law or national security protocols. That position is consistent with what the department has said throughout the tournament. It also does not address the specific question of why FIFA's own documentation process for aircraft authorization produced an outcome that left a World Cup squad stranded overnight. The governing body's default response across the full range of access incidents during this tournament has been a consistent 5-word statement. We are not involved in host country immigration processes. That statement has been deployed for the referee denied entry, for team staff refused visas, for federation presidents unable to attend the event they are accredited for. In the Uruguay case, the AUF has said directly that the problem was FIFA's responsibility. FIFA offered a different account. The standard 5-word position does not apply when the competing explanation is that the failure originated inside the organization itself. ESPN's lead Spanish-language commentator Fernando Palomo said this week that FIFA was squeezing the cow so hard they were going to leave it with no milk. He was speaking specifically about commercialization. The image extends further than he intended. A tournament that cannot reliably get its own national teams into the host country on the required schedule. That could not protect a referee it selected and credentialed from being turned away at an airport after 11 hours of questioning. That cannot guarantee the FIFA-accredited president of a member federation can attend the event he holds official standing at. That is not only a question about commercial extraction. It is a question about operational competence, about institutional accountability, and about whether the governing body's consistent position, not involved, not responsible, not our process, is a legal framework or an evasion. The AUF said FIFA was responsible. Roma Molina reported it as a catastrophe. Every team, official, and federation representative who has been blocked, delayed, or turned away since June 11th has been navigating a tournament that FIFA designed, organized, sold to the world at $11 billion in projected revenue, and claims operational credit for. The collection of the revenue and the disclaimer of responsibility sit in the same institution. They are not compatible positions when a World Cup squad is in a hotel in Cancun the night before its opening match because its plane cannot cross the border. Tonight, Uruguay plays Saudi Arabia at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The football will be worth watching. Bielsa's teams are always worth watching. Darwin Núñez will find space. Valverde will dictate tempo. Saudi Arabia, under their current coaching structure, has developed tactical dimensions that Bielsa will have analyzed extensively and will have prepared for with the obsessive specificity that defines everything he does. The 90 minutes will produce what the 90 minutes produce. Bielsa spent Sunday in a hotel lobby in Cancun. Jibril Rajoub was still waiting to be admitted. The list of access failures is now 6 days long and still adding entries. The football tonight will be real and it will be good. The tournament will provide the moments it always provides. None of that changes what the AUF spokesperson said when asked who was responsible for the delay. 2 questions worth leaving you with. The AUF attributed the failure directly to FIFA. FIFA offered a different account. One of those accounts is wrong. Does that specific, documented contradiction between the federation and the governing body over an incident involving a World Cup national team the night before their opener change your assessment of how much accountability FIFA is actually taking for what is happening around this tournament? And after everything yesterday produced, Bielsa, the hotel, the documentation failure, the squad that waited, do you think Uruguay wins tonight?